Not all at once.
Derek, it's your first time in Canada. How are you enjoying it so far?
It's nice, other than the cold weather. I think it snowed yesterday. I thought I saw some like flakes or flurries or whatever. But Canada's nice, especially Ottawa. It's a nice little town.
In this fight against Elias, do you feel like the pressure's kind of on coming in here on a 2-fight skid?
No, I don't feel the pressure's on me. You know, I always want to perform well, and lately I have not been performing well, particularly in the bigger fights. So that's the focus. That's been the focus of my training camp and pretty much in general.
What do you chalk up last year to? Did something happen that sort of led to those couple losses? Just a matter of, hey, you're an MMA fighter, it doesn't always go your way. Anything happen? Just
preparation, I would say. I opened up a gym about 2 years ago, and I was trying to do, training out of home, being close to family, where it's real comfortable, just living the family life. But that didn't quite work out as far as training and preparation, because, you get out here in these big fights and these guys are hungry and they're coming after you. So I had to make some changes this camp. I had to be away from the family for a little bit. I spent 5 weeks out in Florida training, just getting guys that can push me. So whenever it's fight time, I'll be ready.
So you're at Hard Knocks now, right?
Right, yes.
How has it been training with Henry Hooft?
It's good, it's funny because it kind of reminds me of like when I first started training. When I'm at my gym, I'm like a superstar every day. When I'm there, nobody's a superstar. Even like champions, he's like, okay, so-and-so won the belt, but this is what he did wrong. He's always looking to like let you know your mistakes and your holes. So when it come, the next fights, it won't happen. I was just thinking back when I was on my 5-fight KO streak, knocking everybody out. There was a couple things I could have took there. I was a little bit too reckless, and there's a lot of film going around. So when you tend to do like the same thing and it works, people are gonna start timing you and start picking up on things. So it's one of those things, just holding me accountable and a lot of people to push.
With Elias, he's called himself a generalist, kind of good in all areas, doesn't stand in one particular spot. What do you think his strengths are?
I think he's a solid fighter. I think that's spot on. I think he's not really like great at any one thing, but I think he's pretty solid at everything. He's a guy that's not going to go out and rush the fight. He's going to take his time. He's going to point fight. He's going to look to pick up the fight via the scoring system.
Derek, you got 11 knockouts. So are we going to see number 12 Saturday?
It's possible. Yeah. It's possible. I'm always looking for those knockouts, but I'm looking to do it in like a better fashion. Not rushing, not blitzing, not putting myself at risk, not just being too greedy. I look at a lot of my fights, I'm like, man, that was too greedy. And even I can look back on some of my fights, even the good ones, when I got the knockouts, like, probably should have toned it down just a little bit.
What did you think about Adesanya versus Gastelum?
I didn't watch the fight. I watched the highlights, but I tuned in for the last fight. I was just kind of doing my own thing. It was close to my fight, so I normally don't tune in too much when it's close to my fight. But I saw the highlights. It looked like a back and forth. Kind of what I thought of Israel. But like I said, in that fight, I made too many mistakes, and my preparation wasn't up to par. So it's a good fight.
Do you think that makes the loss look a little bit better, though, now that he's the champion?
Nah, I don't really look at it like that, because MMA is like an unforgivable sport, and somebody will be on top of the world one day and then the next day everybody like, what happened? Just like, I guess, Conor, everybody, I remember like people like legitly thinking he couldn't lose, and I'm like, come on guys, like that ain't really realistic. I mean, he has several holes in his game, but then when he loses now everybody's like, so it's just a matter of, you just got to stay on top of your game.
You face Whitaker as well. Who do you see coming on top of him and Adesanya?
That's going to be a tough one, Neither one of those guys are particularly fast. Adesanya's more long, and he's pretty technical. Same thing with Gastelum. He's not as long. I mean, not Gastelum, but Whitaker. He's not as long, but he's a real technical guy. He's good at what he's doing. Maybe I slightly favor Adesanya in that fight.
You faced the best of the best: Machida, Whitaker, Anderson. Do you think that gives you an added advantage against Elias? It's his first top 10. It's his first full main event. Do you think that gives you an advantage going into the cage Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around the block. It's funny, man. Guys don't fight who I fight. I came in and sometimes I'm like, hey, I want to fight everybody. Somebody say something to me, I'm like, all right, cool, we're gonna fight. And so that's just always been my mentality. Where you have a lot of guys in the division, they're ducking each other, pulling out, or making excuses, and then normally they rebook the fights whenever somebody get injured or try to find a way. But those fights never really get rebooked. So whenever people ask me about who I'm going to fight next, my answer going forward is always going to be, I'm going to let some of these guys fight each other. I'm just going to sit back and train and keep getting better.
Elias doesn't have a lot of finishes, lots of decision wins. Do you feel like you could chase the knockout against him more easily than others?
No, it's not a game of chasing. It's just taking my time, setting it up, and it'll come. I hit hard, especially when I connect and I set up a shot. I can finish the fight. So it's one of those things I don't really have to rush.
Some have described Elias as difficult to figure out with his sort of unorthodox style. Do you look at him that way?
I really think he's difficult to figure out. I just think he's going to move, and he's okay with winning a decision and winning a point fight. He's not going to really put himself at risk too much. I think I heard a couple of statements. He said he's content with his life. So I'm thinking, he's happy where he's at. Everybody's always looking for that next opportunity. But like I said, I know he's okay with getting a decision. So if you chase a guy like that, then you're going to play into his game. Then you make him a knockout artist after that. So this is about preparing and approaching the fight the right way.
You see a lot of these guys like Anthony Smith, Rockhold, they're all moving up to 205. That's something that interests you in the future? They're having success there.
It's funny. I don't know. I always think, I'm like, man, I probably should get up a long time ago. I think everybody is getting away from cutting a lot of weight. I think that's probably the smartest way, and you feel better. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Do you cut a lot of weight?
I don't cut too much weight. Depends what you call a lot of weight.
What do you weigh right now?
Oh, I'm close right now. Funny enough, this has been like one of my better weight cuts. I've just been doing things differently, Had a good training camp, trying to find different ways to cut weight. So this is probably one of the easier weight cuts. It's like the lowest I've been at this point in time in fight week.
So it just kind of all ties together with this change in camp, maybe holding your diet a little closer and being a little more strict with it, and it's just all coming together in that sense, right?
Yeah, it's like there is professional. They got a lot of doctors in the gym, where it's chiropractors, where it's like nutritionists, even the doctors as far as like the strength and conditioning coaches, So everybody's in tune, You're doing a VO2 max, guys are working on the weight cut. The Institute, they have a good program going where they help you guys out with the hydration and the cut during the week. So there's a lot of good things going on and science behind, the weight cut. So it makes it a lot easier.
Do you see that being your long-term home down there in Florida, or is it going to depend on the results of the fights, those kind of things, or win or lose, do you see yourself being back there for the next camp?
Yeah, absolutely. I see myself being back there. Those guys give me the push, and I feel ready, going to the fight. For my previous fights, when I didn't feel quite as ready, just being that I didn't have enough MMA bodies in front of me, the sparring partners don't give me different looks and just bring that pressure,
You mentioned some fighters are moving away from the really big weight cuts. Why do you think that is?
Because it's tough to like rehydrate and perform well, Look at a lot of studies and a lot of like endurance athletes, and which we are, you got to put your body to the max when you're out there fighting. A lot of guys aren't recovering, and you can't dehydrate yourself, a day before you're about to compete and go 100%.
Hey Derek, I've had a number of fighters tell me about how things like dance and gymnastics have carried over into the MMA in unorthodox ways. Along with your strong wrestling background, you're also a cheerleader. I was wondering what aspects of that, if any, have carried over.
No, it's funny. Yeah, I used to.
Hey, it's tough.
I used to cheerlead back in high school, and that was one of the better things. I came into MMA and I had a strong core and a lot of flexibility, and I could put myself in a lot of different positions when it comes to scrambling and stuff like that. So over the years, I stopped like doing all the tumbling and tossing girls in the air. So I definitely lost a little bit of upper body strength and core strength. But I think it was definitely one of the early tools and one of the things that helped me when I first got into the sport.
What do you make of Jack Manson's very recent and very quick rise to contender status?
He's fighting good, He's fighting good. The last fight was good. Jacare looked a little slow, lethargic, sluggish. Maybe he's getting a little bit older, Where Manson came out there, he looked good. He put it on him. I think that's 2 big fights for him in a row. So he's definitely a guy to keep your eye on.
Derek, how are you enjoying Ottawa so far?
It's nice, other than the cold weather. Ottawa's nice, man. I went down the street and took a picture in front of the big Ottawa sign. So it's definitely nice. They got some buildings that look like castles. So yeah, sure.
I always believe you learn more from your losses than your victories. You talked a little bit about this. When you go back and you look at the Adesanya fight, what are some of the specific things that you look at and you think, okay, this is specifically things that I needed to work on?
Well, I guess it's like sometimes I get in the way of my own self. Like I know by far I'm a better grappler than him. So going into my previous fight, I'm like, okay, I made mistakes. I just got too greedy with the hands. You know, I'm just head hunting, trying to knock people out. So I said, in this fight, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wrestle, and I'm just shooting without any setups of the hands. And I shoot it one time, and he catches me with a knee. And that's what set everything off. You know, I was a little dazed, and then he gets up, and I'm like, come on, let's fight. You know, like, but it's a certain point in the fight. You know, if you get a little dazed, probably back off a little bit, but. That's just the thing, you know, just having a good game plan, good preparation.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Derek.